this afternoon. We're going to review the findings and the work and recommendations of the Citizens Transportation Coalition, what we've done over the last 5 months. And I guess first of all, on behalf of the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, our board, and over 1,800 member businesses and individuals, I want to express our sincere appreciation to all coalition members who've put in many hours over the past 5 months studying our growing city's transportation needs. A special note of gratitude for coalition co-chairs Mickey Esposito and Bob Caldwell. For those of you that are in the audience that are coalition members, you know this. You've seen it as I have. Bob and Mickey clearly have a very good working relationship, and which helped us stay focused. And we are so appreciative. And let's give them a round of applause right now. Thank you. The consultants were also outstanding throughout. This type of review is manageable and really possible only by having talented and very knowledgeable professionals sharing their expertise. That certainly happened over the last 5 months. Our transportation system is vital to the growth of our city. For as long as I can remember, the Chamber's focus has been on roads, infrastructure, and funding needs. And if you were in the earlier meeting, our final meeting, you heard a lot of comments about my age. So I've been with the Chamber for a few years. And this is frankly why the Chamber felt it was so important to be part of this effort. The process the coalition went through, again, reminded me that we have a lot to be proud of. We have a multimodal transportation system, we have public works leadership that's tremendous. We have employees that plan, maintain, optimize, and work with the private sector to grow our community. We're all working together to build Lincoln's future. However, we also have opportunities to learn from others and improve. The biggest question, as it usually is, relates to funding. The coalition recommendations provide reasonable options, and we need to consider them as a community. The Chamber believes in working together for solutions. I think the work of the Citizens Transportation Coalition reflects this mantra. Now the community-wide discussion with elected leaders, citizens, and organizations interested in growing this city will begin. Thank you again for everybody's collaboration, and now welcome Bob Caldwell to the podium.
Thanks, Bruce.
You bet. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for coming today. This is really an exciting time. I'd like to say thank you to the Citizens Coalition, emphasizing citizens. We are just volunteers that came together as a very diverse group with unique experiences from across the city to help us answer or try to answer a few of these questions. But it doesn't become possible unless we have leaders at the top that form these groups and ask us to participate. So I'd like to thank Mayor Beitler for forming this Citizens Coalition and allowing the citizens of Lincoln to participate in the process of coming up with ideas to improve our roads and our streets and our infrastructure. And it's never so important as you think about where you drive each day. Last night I picked up my son and we drove home. This morning I picked up my wife early in the snowstorm that didn't happen and took her to the hospital for a procedure. As I was thinking about it, my niece texted me and said, "I got your daughter to school." And you think about all the places that you go, it's really important to think about how you get home. How do you get to the doctor? How do you get across town to that soccer game? Because that's what's important to Lincolnites, is to have a safe, reliable system. And the work that this coalition has done starts that discussion about what we want our roads to be like. And we started this coalition with a tour of the city of Lincoln on a bus. And let me tell you, we went down roads on that bus that were silky smooth. But let me tell you, that was very few of the roads that were silky smooth. We went into some neighborhoods that looked like those roads hadn't been touched in a long time. We went through some neighborhoods that just need a little help. We went down some arterials where there were construction signs out. And so we understand that there are needs in our city, and that roads are the things that get us home, and they get us to the doctor, and they get us to our schools, and we need to take care of them. With that, I want to walk through some of the findings of the coalition, and this is really a group effort by the coalition, and I know they gave me a clicker for the right button here. We'll see. So the first is, what did the mayor ask us to do? There were some basic questions. It's our charge. It's our mission. What are Lincoln's current preservation, system optimization, and expansion needs? Now, forget those big words. Preservation is how do we maintain our roads? System optimization is how do we replace things? How do the green lights work? Can we get there efficiently? And expansion needs are growth. We all see the new neighborhoods happening, and we all see the new commercial buildings happening, and that's how we grow jobs. Second, what level of transportation infrastructure do the citizens expect? Do they expect to drive down their road and have to buy a new pair of shocks and tires every other year? No, they think we should probably fix the roads. What transportation investments are needed to continue to improve the quality of life in Lincoln? We live in an amazing city, and things in our city that have happened in the last 10 years, 5 years are just amazing. We can have better roads. What will those investments cost? Well, everybody knows these things cost things, and we're all very frugal with our own money, and we think there's a way to do that with the citizens' money. What are the best mechanisms for the city to fund the needs? So you can't be a coalition and come up with these flowery ideas without the very tough question of how do you fund it? Because we as Nebraskans understand that you have to be smart with your dollar. We're one of those states that has a balanced budget amendment. We don't spend any more than we have, and we only ask the citizens for what we need. We also looked at comparisons to peer cities because we want to know how do we stack up in taking care of our roads. Now, the Public Works Department have done an excellent job with the amount of funding they have, and our private sector companies have done an excellent job trying to take care of our streets and roads. But everybody in Lincoln knows that we need to do more. So against our comparative cities, we spend about $2,400 per lane mile. Now, we have about 2,600 lane miles in the city of Lincoln, but our average for the peer cities is about 10,000 per mile. And so we know just by that comparison, by our tour of the roads in the bus, by every one of you in the room, we started our coalition with, give us an idea of some road that you have been on in Lincoln and what's your story. And most of them were about how they lost a tire in a pothole, or about how they could shake their coffee and get the cream to mix in as they were driving down the road because they're rough. And some of them were, hey, that's a great new road, and Lincoln's done a great job. So we've done some great things, but we need to do more. The next one is, what's it cost and what do these things mean? Well, preservation, we talked about maintenance. I call it maintenance. I think that's how Lincoln citizens will talk about it. 2,600 miles is a lot of lane miles. Well, to do an overlay or a resurface a street, it's about $600,000 per lane mile, so it's not cheap to do these things. Optimization, I had no idea we had 450 traffic signals. All I know is they're mostly red when I reach them, but they've promised that that's not going to be the case as we go forward. So as we look at those, so many of those need replaced each year. We're replacing 3 or 4 a year, but we need to probably replace about 15 just to keep up with normal wear and tear and maintenance. So there's some really smart things we can do going forward if we have the resources. And third, growth. Everybody sees Lincoln growing. There's opportunities commercially, there's jobs growing, and there's new neighborhoods being built for all those great families. Well, it takes about $12 million a mile to do a new 4-lane arterial. So there's opportunities in each of these areas. So what did we decide as a coalition? And our coalition report is 100% public, 100% transparent. Every meeting any citizen could come to. We had lots of input from citizens across the city. Well, we talked about delivering more cost savings. So first, you need to look inside the cupboard at your own store, and you need to say, how can we do things better? We need to keep our good streets good. We need to increase the contracting flexibility. That's like our strategic priorities. Allow design flexibility. I'll bet everybody in the coalition said there should be some design flexibility so we can save money. Lane width, does it need to be 12? Could it be 11 on certain streets? Can we go to a national standard? Can we go to a regional standard? great ideas by the experts on how we can save money in Lincoln, because you have to show that you're saving money and doing the best things if you're ever going to ask for money. Fourth, we need to simplify some of our systems. Everybody agrees we should simplify government, and we came up with some good ideas. Second, best practices. We always want to use best practices. Optimize our existing system. That's the one where we talk about how many people have gone through a line of intersections or miles and think you always hit the red light. Well, Lincoln's doing some new wonderful things to make those lights timed and to project traffic flow and to make it so you can get to school and work in the hospital easier. And that's optimization and innovation. Well, if you deliver more cost savings and you use all the best practices and you show the voters that you're doing the best job you can do, then we need to figure out how to use some revenue or find revenue to apply to that maintenance. I talked about the movie Wreck-It Ralph, and nobody seems to know that movie except for me. Well, Wreck-It Ralph would always wreck everything. Well, I think some of our roads, Wreck-It Ralph has been a little busy on. And I think we need somebody to fix it, and we need to fix it now. I don't know who Fix-It Felix is. I hope it's not me, but that's a great explanation, is we need to fix it and fix it now. So what did we talk about for a recommendation? Well, on the right-hand side of this slide, it talks about what's the gap. So we looked at all these different things, and we said, well, there's about a $21 million gap between what we think we should spend on maintenance. And that's taking care of the streets we already own and already exist. Two, we think there's about a $7 million gap on that optimization piece, and that's those street lights. That's all that multimodal. It's all the efficiency. And what's good news is maybe we have a smaller gap in growth, only about $5 million. Well, as good Nebraskans, we looked at it. There's about a $33 million gap based on all the study that we did. Well, we didn't just come back and say, okay, give me $33 million. What we're doing is asking our elected officials that do such good work for us to come look at $20 to $28 million of more funding. Please consider it, because that's what's going to help us bridge that gap and fix our roads and fix it now. And we looked at how we're going to do that. Nobody raised their hand and wanted to do property taxes. Nobody raised their hand and wanted to do more wheel taxes. They think we should spread the burden a little wider and not just be the residents of Lincoln. And the state has given us a tool for a local option sales tax. And so we've asked our elected officials to please consider the local option sales tax in the range of $20 to $28 million a year to help us fix our roads and maintain them into the future. I kind of walked through the $33 billion, but we could do many more miles of maintenance. We could do many more upgrades of our intersections, and we could take care of that growth on the edge, because we have such great neighborhoods being built and wonderful commercial jobs happening that we need to have a road to get there. The coalition members. I'll just tell you, this is a blue ribbon coalition from across the city in about every vocation and profession, from our great city council members to our county engineer to neighborhood folks to CEOs of hospitals to builders to engineers. We had it all. And lawyers, I can't forget that. We had some great lawyers on the committee that have done development in Lincoln for 20 or 30 years and know how this works. We also had wonderful consultants that helped us. But this group is really responsible for what you see in the report. These are ideas for our elected officials to use as they bring the idea forward to our citizens. We're a citizen coalition. We have recommendations for you, Mr. Mayor. It's a large, thick book with these slides as a summary. It's all going to be on the website, or is on the website now. And we just ask that the mayor and the city council thoughtfully consider our recommendations as they find a solution to fix it and fix it now. And with that, I would ask the mayor of Lincoln, Chris Beitler, to come up and share his remarks. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am delighted to be here today. Lincoln's had a lot of great days in recent years, but this is another marker. This lays out roadmaps that we can use in 3 distinct areas. And I want to assure the committee and everybody involved that we will forthwith respond to this report. I want to thank Bob and Bruce for your leadership on this very important work. I also want to thank our own Mickey Esposito, one of the great directors in our organization, and I think she did a wonderful job of responding to the information that was wanted by the committee and the organization of the information that the committee wanted. And Mickey, I thank you very much too for all of that. Earlier today, I thanked the entire committee, many of whom are right here right now, and it's a part of the continuing tradition in this community of being involved in the big issues, of helping to solve the big issues. It's the public-private partnership taking form again in a most important way to deal with the sector of transportation. The administration's own Blueprint for Progress has created growth and prosperity over the last 10 years by helping bring all parties to the table and developing a shared vision. We built Pinnacle Bank Arena in the West Haymarket. That's how we built Antelope Valley and the East Downtown revitalization. That's how we're updating the public safety radio system. That's how we're building fire stations. It's how we're bringing high-speed internet across the entire city. That public-private model, that community-based blueprint clearly works for Lincoln. The Transportation Committee, again, has now applied that same approach to our transportation strategy. They worked hard to identify the priorities, to identify the processes, and to point out the pathways to reach our destination. Today, we can all take pride in what they have accomplished. I've been following the committee's work with great interest, and I look forward to delving deeper into the full report and the recommendations of the report. And I invite every citizen to do the same thing. The report is online at lincolnonthemove.com, and hopefully a great number of citizens will afford themselves the opportunity to take a look for themselves. Building infrastructure like our street network is a critical part of how we continue to make Lincoln a world-class city. The data is clear. The city of Lincoln has increased our investments on streets already by 58% since 2010, helping ignite the private sector investment boom that has made our economy the envy of many across the nation. Programs like Green Light Lincoln have boosted safety and improved travel times. Our maintenance work and rapid repairs help keep the quality of life high. Again, Public Works Director Mickey Esposito and her team have done an amazing job with the resources that were available to them. Now they stand ready to do even more. The Transportation Coalition report will help guide us as we build an even better Lincoln. The coalition members represent a broad cross-section of the community. Now, we want to use that network to reach out and to inform and to educate Lincoln. Over the past 10 years, we have tackled big challenges and embraced huge opportunities, and I'm confident that together we will do the same thing in the near future. So I want to thank again all of the coalition members. I promise you a quick response. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting all of the meetings, I believe. Appreciate that, Bruce. And thank you to Bob Caldwell, who has spent an enormous amount of time on this matter and to whom we have a great debt. So thank you, Bob, for leading the process. It's an honor to be a part of a community, to be mayor of a city that understands how to come together and achieve great things. So with that, all of us up here at front stand ready to answer questions, and we'll open it up to questions. Come on up here. Any questions? Maybe there are none. I think some questions will come up in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great job.